Okay, Assalamualaikum and good evening. I think we can start our lecture for tonight.
Waalaikumsalam, Doktor.
Alright. Eh. Okay, so today we are going to continue with our lecture 2. Okay, still on the related to budgeting lah. But tonight we are going to see more in depth about budgeting, especially on budgetary management lah. On the aspect of how we can prepare effective budgeting, what are the elements that we need to consider when preparing budget, and etc. Later I am going to briefly explain about the content of today's lecture. But before we start, let's recap what we have discussed last week. Okay, so basically last week we have discussed about the, especially in the beginning of last week lecture, we have briefly went through about how we can define budgeting. Okay, so what are the characteristics that we need to consider when we want to develop a good budget? And we also have discussed about budgeting approach, which consisted of two, top-down and also bottom-up approach. I hope that you can differentiate between these two approaches, top-down and bottom-up, and how it works. And then we have looked also on the types of budgeting techniques, including incremental, zero-based, outcome-based, and also performance-based. And finally, we also have go through the challenges and difficulties in preparing a budget from last week lah. Okay, and before we start, last week one of your friends raised a question about value engineering. So whether value engineering is a part of budgeting techniques. Okay, so the answer is fundamentally value engineering is not part of budgeting techniques. Okay, it's only we can consider it as a tools in what we call it as a financial techniques. Okay, where later on I can show you which area that we can put this value engineering. Okay, so in general, value engineering is a tools that we can use when we want to manage our project. For example, okay, we want to find an alternative, cheaper alternative in terms of materials, in terms of construction methods, but without ignoring the function of our projects or our building elements lah. Okay, for example, like instead of using conventional method, we want to use IDS. Maybe the cost is quite high, but long term is more cheaper lah. Some sort like that. That's what we call it as a value engineering lah. So this is our lecture online. Okay, for today's lecture. Okay, firstly we are going to have a look on how we can prepare a budget. Okay, in terms of what are the elements that we need to consider when we preparing a budget. What are the elements that we need to include in the budget. Sama ya, ada orang join. Stop. Okay. Alright. So again, today, firstly, we are going to have a look on the element of budget preparation. As I mentioned just now, we are going to see on the elements that we need to consider that we need to include in preparing budget, and then we are going to have a look on how we can planning and budgeting a project. okay, the role of project managers, and finally, on our last part of today's lecture, we are going to have a look on the effective budgetary management. Okay, what are the criteria or elements that we need to consider in preparing an effective budgetary, as well as how we can effectively implement that budget. Okay, it's not enough if we only develop an effective budgeting, but at the end, the implementation is failed. Okay, so we also need to ensure that we can implement the budget effectively as well. Okay, so that's what we are going to go through today. All right. So basically, full of understanding of the budget preparation system is essential. Okay, it's very critical lah in any organization, in any construction projects. Okay, when you prepare budget, it's not just you need to derive expenditure projection, but you must be able to advise policymakers or stakeholders on the feasibility and desirability of specific budget proposals. Okay, so you need to clarify to your policymakers, to your stakeholders, what is the purpose of your budget, why you need this amount of money, etc. And in order to convince your policymakers, your stakeholders, you have to consider from microeconomic and also macroeconomic perspective. Okay, at both perspectives, both economic perspective, which is involve micro. Micro is a smaller scope, means that we are going, before we make a decision on our budget, we need to consider, for example, like at micro level, for example, like how the tax system introduced by the government will affect us as a company, as an organization. Meanwhile, at the macro level, a bigger scope means that on the economy as a whole, in terms of demand and supply, inflation rate, and how it impacts us as an organization, or how it's going to impact us when we want to carry out certain projects. Okay, so that's how you need to consider lah when you want to prepare budget. So beside that, you also need to determine what we call the principal budget factors. One of them is the limit output. What is limit output? Okay, limit output is something that could detrimental our profitability. Okay, means that it could influence our profit. Okay, sometimes because of this limit output, it could reduce our profit. Okay, for example, like the sales, materials, and labor. Okay, these three examples stated in this slide will give a great impact to our level of profitability. Okay, for example, like sales, if we cannot generate the sales that has been targeted, of course, our profit will be affected. Okay, material, especially the cost of the materials. Okay, of course, cost of material also will be influenced by inflation and so on. Okay, labor cost as well. Okay, the more you need labors, the more costs are required for you to spend lah. Okay, so indirectly you will impact your profitability. So furthermore, when you want to prepare a budget, there are certain elements that you need to consider. Okay, among of them is sales budget, production budget, raw materials and purchasing budget, labor budget, and also cash budget. Okay, we are going to have a look one by one. Firstly, we have a look on the sales budget. So basically, sales budget contains a detail about the sales expectation of the organization or business for a given period. Okay, let's say for a year lah, normally. Okay, basically we prepare budget for a year. So in both units and also ringgit lah. Okay, means that both in quantities and also financial numbers lah, numeric. So basically, when we want to predict or we want to make our sales budget, there are certain elements that we need to consider. Okay, for example, like sales force opinions, market research, statistical methods, mathematical models. All right, so this among the elements that you need to consider when you want to prepare a sales budget. And when we're talking about sales budget as well, consideration also should be given on company's pricing policy. Alright, so in deciding your sales target, you need to check the company's pricing policy. Maybe some companies have their, of course, every companies have their own pricing policy. Okay, especially maybe maybe your products, your targeted customer is overseas. Maybe the price is different, so you have to check the pricing policies of your companies. Okay, general economic and political condition, of course, will influence your sales budgets, especially with the current conditions. Okay, with the economic situation, with the political situation in our country, so it will play a big part in determining our sales budget. Okay, competitions. Okay, competition products. Okay, so you have to check your competitors in terms of especially their prices. Okay, consumers' income and taste. Alright, so also will influence your sales budget. Okay, ada lagi nak join? Yep. Right, advertising and other sales promotion techniques also need to be included under sales budget. Okay, so of course, in order to achieve your sales target, you need to have a strong advertisement strategies, strong promotion strategies. Okay, and you also need to consider about the after sales service. Okay, what are the credit terms can you offer for your customer? Maybe some of your product you can offer installment basis, for example, and etc. So that's the things that you need to consider when you want to prepare a sales budget. Right, next element that we need to consider when preparing a budget is production budget. So basically, the production budget must be aligned with the sales budgets lah. Alright, so the allocation of budget for producing product must match with the sales target, so that we could avoid overproduce. Right, so we don't want to overproduce, because once you overproduce, you will create wastage. Alright, so you need to balance between sales budget and also production budget. So again, it will be expressed in quantitative terms and is geared to the sales budget. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, your production budget will be depending on your sales budgets lah. Alright, so of course, the production manager will be more responsible because they are the person that more close with the production level, so they know what are the budgets required at the production level. So as a production manager, you need to analyze on how you can utilize your plants, machineries. Okay, you need to consider about work in progress budgets. Okay, and if the requirements exceed the capacity. Okay, for example, like the sales budget has been generated more, so perhaps as a production manager, you find out that ada sesiapa nak cakap? Kita open mic. Okay, as a production managers, if you find out that the sales target that has been targeted by the management is more than the capacities that you can produce, perhaps you can suggest in terms of requirements such as how you can subcontract the works. Okay, you can plan for overtime. Okay, maybe you need to introduce shift works for your workers, or perhaps you need to hire or buy additional machineries, right, in order to achieve the sales target that has been set by the management lah. Alright, so that's among the things that you need to consider when you prepare a production budget. Alright, the next element is raw materials and purchasing budget. So each element that has been described before, it will be related with one another lah. Okay, you cannot ignore sales budget, production budget when you're preparing the raw materials and also purchasing budgets. Right, of course, when you determine how much usage of materials is needed in your organization, in your projects, you will be based on quantities lah. Okay, how much kilograms, how much meter cube, and etc. But of course, when you identify the quantities, of course, it will reflects the financial matters lah. How much cost is needed, budget is needed for that amount of materials that are required for your organization or for your business. And there are some factors that will influence the sales and productions. Okay, of course, in terms of the capabilities of your organization to buy the raw materials. Okay, firstly, the factors that will influence the amount of materials that you could afford to buy is the production requirements. Okay, for example, like currently with the current economic conditions, your production level is quite slow. Okay, so it means that it's not necessary for you to spend more on raw materials. Okay, so that the kind of thing that you need to consider. Okay, you have to planning stock level, storage space also will play a part. Okay, even though your production level is doing well, you produce a lot of materials, a lot of products, but you have insufficient storage space for you to buy a lot of raw materials. So that's will play parts lah. Okay, so you need to consider your storage space in order to buy more raw materials. Alright, and of course, trends of material prices also will play a part. Okay, because especially construction materials, the price will not be the same as today lah. Okay, so perhaps if the price is this amount today, the following month maybe you will not get the same price anymore. So perhaps you can readjust your raw materials and also purchasing budget. The next element is labor budget. Okay, so a lot of consideration that you need to consider when you want to prepare a labor budget. Okay, firstly is production requirements. Okay, so you have to have a look again on the production budget. Okay, on the sales budget again. Okay, how much production that the organization set for, let's say, for a year. So you can calculate or estimate your budget for labor based on the production budget. Okay, man hours available. So you need to identify your workers whether is it sufficient, okay, or you need to hire more workers, okay, in order to cope with the level of production that has been set by the organization or by the business. Grade of laborers required. So perhaps you are lacking skilled laborers, for example. Right, so you need to hire more skilled laborers. So in order to cater the sales and production requirements. Okay, of course, wage rate and of course the needs for incentives also need to be included under the labor budget. Okay, perhaps at the end of the project, if the project will be completed successfully, you will want to give some sort of incentive for your workers, bonus or family day or whatever. So you need to put in your labor budget as well. And the next one is the cash budget that you need to consider when preparing a budget. Okay, cash budget or cash plan for a defined period of time. Okay, so in terms of cash budget, we need to estimate the cash inflow and outflow for the organization. Okay, so this type of budget will determine whether the organization has a sufficient cash to operate the business or not. Right, so there are a lot of uses of this cash budget. For example, to maintain control over firm's cash requirement, take precautionary measures, right? Show the feasibility of management plan in cash terms. If not sufficient, perhaps they need to find ways on how they can sustain the business, and also to illustrate the financial impact of changes in management policies. And cash budget can be divided into two categories. The first one is receipt of cash. So receipt of cash is the money received by the organization. Okay, it includes cash sales. When we generate sales, we get cash money, payment by debtors. Okay, of course, in certain business, we have we give debt to certain companies, and then they pay the debts. All right, so we get the cash. The sale of fixed asset. Okay, like we have a lot of fixed asset. We can sell the fixed asset and we can get the cash. Right, the issue of new shares, so perhaps new investors coming in our company, right? So we will receive the cash. And of course, another form of receipt of cash is the receipt of interest. Maybe we have some investment, a dividend, and also interest and dividend from investment. Also being considered as a receipt of cash. Another categories of cash budget is payment of cash. Right? Just now we receiving the cash, and now we need to pay in cash. Okay, for example, like purchase of stocks. Okay, materials, right? Payment of wages or other expenses, utilities bills, etc., etc. Okay, purchase of capital items, payment of interest, dividend, and of course taxation. Right, so that's under the category of payment of cash. All right, that's some of the elements that you need to consider in preparing a budget. But last but not least, another category of or another element of preparing a budget is other budget, which not being stated in the previous elements. Okay, which include administration or and also research and development budget lah. All right, so maybe some big companies they have their own R&D departments. Right, so they need to allocate some budget for R&D purposes lah. All right. All right. Next, we are going to talk about the planning and budgeting a project. All right. Planning a budget may be looked upon as the integration of the variety of diffuse and sometimes diverse interests that constitute the organization into a program that all have agreed is workable. So basically, planning a budget is not only focusing on a certain area, okay, but we need to consider all the possibility that could affect our budget lah. Okay, so again, I think I mentioned last week and also during the introduction class, it's not easy to prepare a budget. So a lot of variables, a lot of internal and external factors that you need to consider, okay, when you want to develop or plan a budget. So basically, there are 4 steps that need to be considered when preparing a budget for a project, okay, which are define the project, create a work plan, calculate the cost, and also tracking a project. All right, we have a look each step. The first step is define the project. Okay, here we need to develop a project plan, which is very essential. Okay, so we need to start with the project overview, purpose of the project, initial situation, and goal. Okay, so we need to clear about the purpose of the projects. Okay, what type of project will we involve, the teams, the durations, okay, what the clients, etc. Right, then we need to create a work plan. Okay, so here we can we need to answer these 2 questions: how much it will cost and how long it will take. Okay, so in creating a work plan, technically we can call it as a WBS. Okay, work breakdown structure. Right, so you detail up the work plan. So when you detail up the work plan, you can see which are the critical part that you need to emphasize. So here also you can just now at the beginning of the class I mentioned about value engineering. So here also you can include the tools of value engineering when you're creating a work plan. Okay, when you detail up your work activities, so you can see where you can save money lah. Okay, by using the value engineering tools or techniques. Okay, by applying substitute materials and etc. Okay. All right. Next, you need to calculate the costs. All right. So after you detail up the work activities using WBS, you can calculate the cost of work to be done plus the cost of whatever we need to buy. Okay, you can develop project schedule or project calendar. So you can use tools, for example, like Primavera, okay, Microsoft Projects, or even Excel also can be used, okay, to calculate the cost lah. All right, and also you can develop the project schedule or project calendar. And the final step is tracking a project. Okay, so when you have the WBS, when you have your work activities has been detailed up, okay, when you have a proper project schedule or project calendar, so you can track your project, okay, your progress work, okay, where your status is, okay, is it on time, is it run out of time, okay, so perhaps you can track your project or monitor your project by having a weekly status meeting, okay. Make sure you have a proper documentation in terms of purchases of materials, alright, so you can track whatever money in, money out from your projects lah. Alright, so this is the basic steps that you need to carry out when you prepare a budget for the project. Alright, the next one is we are going to talk about the role of project manager lah. Okay, of course, as a project manager, you're not being responsible to manage the project. Okay, as a project manager, also you have to have understanding on budget as well, so that you have idea on how to manage the project within the budget. Okay, so that's also important as a project manager. Alright, so as a project manager, of course, you have to create a project plan first. We go back to the previous slide just now. Okay, the step in planning a budget for a project. So you have to prepare project plan first. From there, you can do your estimation, okay, and do the budget from the plan that has been developed. Alright, so you have to know your purpose, set your goals, know where you are starting and what problem you are trying to solve lah. Alright, so among the elements that you need to consider is in terms of cost of internal labor, cost of consulting and similar services, cost of direct materials, and of course, cost of indirect materials and tools. Right, and accurate budget comes from a detailed work plan. Alright, as mentioned before, which is the WBS is very critical in construction projects. If you have a detailed work plan, most probably you can derive a very accurate budget, so that you will not being underestimate okay, for your project. Here are some of the checklists for the project manager. So firstly, your budget should be based on what you're going to do. Okay, you need to clear that a short-term budget, which is 1 year or less in length, for planning and tracking, while long-term budgets longer than a year are just for planning. Right. Next week we are going to talk about these two things, short-term and long-term, regarding sources of finance. Okay, and then you can prepare long-term budget by asking if expenses are fixed, variable, or partly fixed or partly variables. All right. So you need to make sure the expenses that you are going to spend, whether it is going to be fixed for the duration of the project, 2 years or 3 years, or is it is going to be variables. Okay, so you need to investigate that element as well. Alright, you can average expenses by vary a great deal, or you can plan them more accurately. And next, in estimating income, you need to think about current customers buying what they have bought before, vertical services, new item for current customer, and marketing to bring in new customers. But you have to in other contexts than construction industry this is also you need to consider, okay, in estimating income, estimating your profit. Okay, you can make estimates and also manage well using SWOT analysis. Okay, this is one of the popular tools Okay, you're doing SWOT analysis. Budgeting is easier if you understand accounting. Okay, you don't have to be an accountant, but you have to familiar with the accounting terms. All right, which you're going to learn with Dr. Juliana starting from week 6 nanti. All right. So you be able to track your actual expenses against your estimates. All right. So that's the thing that you some of the checklists that the managers need to consider when preparing a budget. And next, there are 6 key critical success factors of your projects. Okay. Again, is quite relevant, or is related to the previous one right? But this one is more or less quite similar with the previous one, but the additional information there, for example, like communicate. All right, it's not enough if you develop a good budget, but you don't have a proper communication among your team members. In order to develop a good budget as well, you need to have a proper communication skills. All right, you need to properly organize. All right, you have to create a detailed work plan, as we mentioned a few times just now. Okay, use written change control. Okay, if you want to make any changes in your budget related to your project, make sure you do it in written. Okay, so if anything happen, you have a proper record. All right, you need to ensure high quality, good work, and on time. Of course, okay, within the budget. All right, follow through with quality, deliver to the customer, and make sure that everything works lah. All right, so that's is very basic lah. In order to make sure you can successfully complete your project within the given budget lah. Right. The last part of today's lecture is we are going to talk about effective budgetary management. Okay. So in this part, we are going to have a look on how we can effectively develop a budget and how we can effectively implement the budget. Okay. It's not enough if we only can prepare an effective budget, but when it comes to implementation, it fails. All right. So we need to ensure both. Processes being done effectively. Okay, preparing a budget is being done effectively, as well as implementing the budget also being done effectively. All right. In developing a budget or preparing a budget effectively, it will depend on the management process of the organization. Okay, so we have to check the approach, the techniques of budgeting that being applied in the organization. Okay, so it depends whether the organization will use top-down or bottom-up approach. What are the techniques being used? Zero-based, incremental, and etc. So you need to make sure which approach and also techniques being used by the organization. Okay, and the budget data should compatible with the accounting system and uses common definitions. Okay, this means that you need to use the term that match with the accounting department. Okay, so when there is if you using different terms, perhaps you will create a confusion between the accounting system, accounting department, etc. So it will create more conflicts between your management, your department, and also accounting departments. Okay, and budget documents are compiled, facilitates comparison with the organization financial statement and other financial planning and performance reports. So you have to compare with the financial report of your organization. Okay, so in preparing budget, of course, it will relate on your financial capabilities and abilities of your organization. Okay, so when you prepare budget, of course, you need to foresee your company's financial strength and also capabilities lah. So that from there you can you are not going to prepare a budget that cannot be afforded lah. Okay, so you need to check your financial strength first before you can prepare a budget. And then a rigorous evaluation of alternative using appropriate financial and management techniques, which may include, all right, so in order to evaluate our financial strength, we can identify the alternative that we could employ, for example, like full life cycle costing, discounted cash flow, cost and benefit analysis, design and feasibility studies, assessment of physical resources availability, risk assessment, and market research. Right, here comes the terms that we call it as a financial analysis. Okay, so in preparing a budget, you also need to analyze your financial strength and also capabilities. So in order to evaluate your financial strength, you can apply this financial technique stated here. Some of it you are going to learn with Dr. Lim Julana. Okay, for example, like discounted cash flow. Okay, you are going to learn about internal rate of return, net present value. You can evaluate your company financial strength by looking at the most suitable investment that your companies could afford. Okay, so perhaps you have a lot of options. Okay, option A, B, and C. So which option will give you more profit, will give you more good in return. All right, so there are some financial techniques that can be applied in order to evaluate your option, your alternative. All right, so that's most of the financial technique that you are going to learn with Dr. Juliana later on lah. Okay, in calculation based lah. Okay. Alright. Besides that, there are certain fundamental requirements that must be met if budgeting is to be effective. Okay, the requirements are some of them have been mentioned many times. For example, objective. Okay, normally all planning assume that objective has been established. Okay, but so that plan is the last step that they need to focus. Okay, so basically it's wrong. So you have to finalize your objective first, then from there you can start to plan. Okay, so you need to clarify, you need to clear about your objective before you can start to plan. All right. The next requirement is a knowledge of cost behavior. Okay, it is essential for the organization to understand the cost pattern. All right. The influence of internal and also external factor of the cost. Okay, for example, like it's good to have an understanding on cost benefit analysis, which perhaps you're going to learn with Dr. Juliana as well. So it will aid us in making the right decision lah. If you understand the cost pattern, the cost behavior, okay, it's very important before you make a decision. You have to understand the cost pattern. Again, flexibility. We have discussed a lot last week, okay, about the necessity to allow some flexibility in your budget, okay, so that we could recognize and adapt to any significant changes for the benefits of our organization, of our projects lah. Okay, so if our budget is too rigid, if there are opportunities arise in the future, we can grab lah, because our budget is too rigid, not being flexible enough. And so you need to allow that element of flexibility. Okay, so another fundamental requirement is, of course, the top management sponsorship and support. Okay, here we are talking about commitment lah. Okay, so if we could get a commitment from the top management, it could be great lah. Okay, so the budgeting process will become vital, and the process will become more smooth lah. Okay, if we get enough support, enough commitment from the top management. Okay, another fundamental requirements is education. Okay, so all level of management must be convinced the usefulness of the budget. Okay. Alright, so when they have a knowledge, when they being educated enough, they should know their part, they should know their role, and they should know how to control the budget. Okay, so perhaps as a management, as a top management, if you can give a full commitment, maybe you can provide a training related to budgeting to your workers, so your workers will get familiar with whatever budgeting techniques, tools available in the business lah. And next fundamental requirement is specific time required, time period, sorry. As being mentioned last week, one of the difficulties and challenges of preparing a budget is time consuming. All right. If we want to avoid, or if we want to overcome that, if we want to overcome that issue whereby when we preparing a budget is taking a long time, so maybe we can set a certain time period or time frame, which it is a very good practice, so that we can make sure that the budgeting process is not being dragged too long. Okay, so we can set a certain time period lah. Okay, so maybe you can give a certain department, okay, I give you 1 month to come up with your final budget. Okay, so when you have a specific time frame, perhaps it will not be dragged too long when you're preparing a budget. And next fundamental requirements is educate system support. So here we are talking about records, we are talking about SOP procedures. All right, so if you have a proper records, if you have a proper procedures, you will be sufficient. So as well as you can create consistency in your organization when you're preparing a budget lah. So everything will be run smoothly. And the last one, the last fundamental, which is I think this is the core, okay, whereby you need to have an effective organizational structure, okay, so that the budget can be prepared efficiently and effectively lah. Okay, if you have an effective organizational structure, so everything stated above can be easily achieved lah. Alright, so here is the core lah actually. Okay, so you must have an effective organization structure. So everybody clear about their responsibilities and play their roles in preparing the budget. Okay, so that's some of the fundamental requirements that you need to consider in order to make sure that you can prepare the budget effectively. Okay, so again, as I mentioned earlier, it's not enough if you can prepare or if you can come up with an effective budget, but when it comes to implementation, you fail. So you need to make sure that the budget will be implemented effectively as well. Okay, so what you need to do is that firstly, you have to compile with participation of whoever will be responsible for its control and performance. All right, so you need to make sure there is a person in charge for certain area of budget, so that the person in charge know that they are responsible for it, so they can control it, they can monitor the performance, right? And then communicated to all those that need to know, right? Everybody that need to know about budgets must be informed earlier, so that you can avoid miscommunication, okay, or maybe you can avoid problems in the future. Alright, budget target should be expressed in output terms as well as financial terms. Again, here we are talking about transparency lah. Okay, so of course, when we are talking about implementing the budget, okay, of course, we will come up the financial terms. Okay, how much money has been allocated in your department, etc. So again, from based on that allocated budget, you need to clarify to those departments in terms of the output. What are the output, or what is the output will be targeted from this amount of budget that has been allocated to your department, etc. Okay, clear rules dealing with the additional budgets. Veerment. Okay, veerment is the process of transferring item from one financial account to another. Okay, so perhaps some departments have extra budget, so you can pull the budget from one department to another department. That's what we call it veerment. So you have to have a clear rules about that. Okay, so is it tak keluar kataan ni. Can you grant the permission for your other department to pull other department budgets? Okay, so you have to clear rules about that. You have to have a clear rules about that. Okay, can we take budget from other departments? Okay. Alright, appropriate system are in place to authorize, verify, record budget commitments and actual, including comprehensive system of internal controls. Okay, so you have a proper or appropriate systems lah. Alright, so again, who being responsible, who can verify, who need to keep the records, so it will be more effective lah for your future punya plan. And the last one is budget data is accessible to those responsible for budget in a timely and understandable way lah. Alright, so that's also very important when you want to make sure that the budget can be effectively implemented. Okay, so that's all for today. Any questions you can ask now.
Doktor.
Yeah.
Yang apa budget preparation ni kan, selalunya kita buat masa nak bidding, betul tak?
Yes.
Okay, masa nak bidding, contoh, kalau kata projek tu 5 tahun, ni dia kena consider semua aspek.
Sepatutnya.
Even dia punya production, semua tu dia orang dah kena ni?
Sepatutnya.
Okay.
In theoretical way lah sepatutnya.
Okay. Dan kiranya dia dah tahulah harga, macam contoh projek ni untuk buat rumah. Rumah 10 biji, tapi kiranya dia orang dah kena come out untuk harga sebuah rumah tu berapa, macam tu?
Yes, sepatutnya.
Okay. Okay, itu kalau dekat kontraktor. Kalau macam site consultant, macam mana? Macam mana sale dia punya sale budget ni?
So dia kena predict the price of, katakan tadi contoh rumah kan, dia kena predict lah cost pattern tadi untuk rumah tadi, selepas katakan projek tu 5 tahun lah. So selepas 5 tahun berapa harga rumah yang kita boleh jual.
Okay.
So dia kena, that's why dia prepare budget ni banyak, kita kena banyak forecast lah, kena banyak buat assumption.
And then macam mana production dia pula as a consultant?
As a consultant, production
yalah dia punya apa progress budget semua tu.
Theoretically they need to prepare jugalah, tapi practically I'm not sure how they do it lah. Dia in terms of production budget tadi, in terms of the element that they need to consider when preparing production budget is one of them is the plan, machinery and etc. Apa lagi tadi?
Doktor.
Ya.
Sorry Doktor, saya rasa kalau consultant dia punya budget preparation lebih kepada gaji yang you akan hire lah. Contoh kalau you pakai dalam company you banyak pakai professional engineer, so budget you banyak dekat salary instead of material ataupun etc. And then you punya office lah. Sebab bila contractor tu hire consultant ataupun developer hire consultant, kita akan ambil consultant fee daripada developer untuk cover dia punya gaji. So as long as we have the consultant is under construction, is under project, so you tak payah risau pasal salary, as long as developer or maincon or paymaster tu still bayar kita as a consultant. But maybe our budget will be on our office lah, and kita buat consultant fee on office, operation cost and kita punya overhead, overhead kat kas. So dia berbeza dengan kontraktor kot. Saya rasa
of course, it's logik lah. Sebab because as a consultant you don't need to consider about machinery punya cost etc. Cuma you need to consider about the labor cost lah, staff you lah.
Yes.
That's the key untuk as a consultant.
Maksudnya dia punya elemen ni dia depend on
depend on your category of business yang you buat lah.
Okay. Alright.
Adalah kalau apa?
Kalau syarat, kalau if you can relate untuk project MRT, consultant is part under PDP, they already have some percentage from the project. From the early of the project tu dia dah ada some percentage, that is their fee. And then whatever beyond that fee, kalau macam tu dia akan consider macam variation. That's why kadang kalau macam PDP tu, dia kata this is not my scope. Meaning to say masa dia tender dengan client MRT ke, dia kata okay, my role and responsibility setakat ni saja, this is my fee. And then the fee ni reimburse my monthly basis. And then on top of that, kalau contohnya macam ada dia punya IOW, awak dia OT ke apa, itu kontraktor tanggung. Dia tak dibayar oleh konsultan itu sendiri.
Betul.
Dia punya lagi safe lah. Orang tak perlu nak consider banyak benda lah.
Tak ada. Dia cuma go by standard fee. Market fee dia standard. So that's the thing. Consultant also dia fighting for job. Okay, kalau dia bagi fee tinggi, orang tak nak ambil dia. Dia bagi fee rendah, dia terpaksa satu engineer 5-6 projek jaga. So, quality of the consulting tu ke laut lah.
Sebab consultant dia punya weightage tu berat dia kepada risiko yang dia ambil. You design, you inspection, you attend. So you bayar fee you tu lebih kepada you punya risiko. If anything happen, that's like happen kat Suke yang semua tahu jatuh himpak tu. I think consultant punya fee, siapa yang endorse that drawing itu yang paling sakit. Instead of
the design
contractor lah.
Design punya liability lah.
Yes, design punya liability.
In fact kalau macam projek MRT tu sendiri, macam PDP dah engage consultant dia, if the consultant tu somehow under design, okay, And then PDP layak kalau buat ada variation yang contractor claim tu, PDP berhak untuk tolak fee daripada consultant kalau dia under design, something like that lah.
Okay doktor, nak tanya soalan boleh?
Boleh.
Okay, I'm like to ask about tadi doktor sebut pasal sub labor kita nak control gaji. So from my understanding saya nak tanya, boleh tak kalau I'm hired, it's not day work punya rate, I nak hired based on work done. Sebagai contoh doktor, you are my client, doktor hired saya as a maybe carpenter punya gang, tukang kayu ataupun konkretor lah. Ataupun tukang besi, saya tapau semua, saya cakap okay, doktor katakan saya, okay Adam, you install 300 tan besi, satu tan I bayar 450, 500 ringgit. So basically doktor as a main con ataupun developer, doktor tak perlu risau tentang saya mula atau tak mula. Dia punya objektif dia tak nak kerja main-main. Okay. Doktor cakap saya, Adam aku bagi kau ni 300 tan, kau install, lepas dah install, work done pun kau claim. Which is doktor tak perlu risau tentang saya punya sub labor. Saya boleh bayar gaji ke tak, itu atas saya lah. As long as work done, doktor bagi saya. Boleh ke tak boleh doktor? Saya
lebih consider total sub Adam.
Saya nak sub mana? Saya nak
dia want total sub.
Apa ni kalau in theory it can be done kalau you have a proper documentation lah, because dia walaupun you cakap dia boleh guarantee, tapi anything happen dia lari ke apa ke benda tu, tapi I think in practical kebanyakan projek itulah yang kita buat kan, kebiasaannya
melainkan barang mesti doktor punya lah. Main doktor beli besi, doktor beli machinery. Saya hanya bagi sub labor je. Cuma kita nak, kita punya sikap ialah contoh dia kata, macam mana kalau kau punya worker mengular dah ataupun kerja main-main ataupun sengaja buat kerja slow untuk kerja OT. Kita kerja overtime kan. So instead of cikgu ambil risiko, cikgu pula, doktor ambil risiko apa ni kena bayar lebih sebab benda-benda macam tu. So better kalau you doktor buat kontrak, kata okay Adam, I give you sub labor, work done baru you claim dengan I. So kat situ dia punya, saya nampak dia punya loophole ialah you as a developer and main con, doktor tak boleh control lah berapa orang worker yang saya masuk. Betul tak? Sebab doktor control work done. Tapi on work done not their work kan. Sebab saya duk aim, masalah saya ada orang claim OT, claim overtime, sedangkan kerja tu tak banyak mana pun.
Setuju.
So basically kalau in contract, in theory lah kita sepatutnya tak boleh buat macam tu sepatutnya lah, tapi in Malaysia ni as you know semua boleh land kan. Semua boleh buat. So dia risiko dan pro and con lah benda macam ni, pro and con. Is you do like that and the job is been done properly, is good for you lah. But in future dia punya con pula ni, takut in future anything happen, yang you sub tadi tak tahu apa dah. Yang bertanggungjawab sebab you lah, because you ada direct contract dengan client, your company. So anything happen you kena responsible lah. Cuma in Malaysia kan, as I said, semua possible. Semua benda yang impossible pun boleh jadi possible.
Tapi doktor, kalau macam benda-benda yang anda mention ni, benda ni bukan dah di justified dulu ke dalam P&A? I mean profit and attendance.
Justify macam mana tu?
Macam ada any sub punya work kan. Apa ni, as a client, kita boleh ke allocate dulu untuk between kita dengan main con, kita set P&A macam my company practice, kita orang buat satu profit and attendance lah untuk certain scope yang melibatkan besides the main con, macam contohnya M&E works apa semua kan. Kita dah set dulu, let's say for example untuk M&E works cost dia 1 million lah. So P&A dia is macam saya my company practice is 2%. profit and attendance. So it's 200,000. So 200,000 tu sepatutnya dia tak exceed lah. Kalau macam ada kata dia nak buat OT ke apa, whatever apa ke, dia sepatutnya tak lebih daripada 2%, amount 2% tu. Boleh kita set dalam in contract lah. Ke benda, saya tak sure lah benda tu normal ke apa ke, tapi my company practice that way lah.
Cuma Afiq, doktor, kalau tak silap saya untuk Prof PNA ni, kalau saya silap betulkan, cuma yang saya hadapi untuk PNA ni lebih kepada doktor sebagai saya punya klien, doktor ambil Dr. Harid saya as a total sub. Tapi saya tak ambil kerja MNE. Doktor ambil Afiq as MNE, NSC dia letak bawah saya. So saya akan ambil profit and attendance sebab saya kena coordinate kerja Afiq. Sedangkan saya dengan Afiq tak ada kontrak. Afiq ada dengan doktor sebagai developer and Afiq MNE. Saya as a contractor, saya tak ambil MNE tapi saya kena coordinate kerja untuk Afiq. So saya
betul macam tu.
Kepada kontraktor lah kiranya.
Anggap PKNS.
Tapi dia ada cash. PNA ni, the main con yang ada PNA, just in case the NSC dia tidak perform, so main contractor still bertanggungjawab untuk selesaikan tugas tu because dia dah ambil PNA. Dia the cash lah. So PNA tu dia bukan duit free. You tak manage, dia punya subcontractor, walaupun dia tak boleh control dia punya payment, kalau dia delay, dia tak boleh perform, most of the time class F lah kan. So then kalau dia tak perform, you kena take over. You buat sendiri ke, you engage another third party ke. Betul. Actually you kena siapkan juga because you already obtain the PNA. Tapi Afiq tu answer
package tu under one contract lah.
Tapi kalau macam Afiq, dia tak boleh control tau reimbursement macam OT apa semua tu, dia tak boleh control dalam PNA because dia cuma dia punya profit attendance tu sebab dia nak tolong manage dan coordinate je macam Adam cakap tadi. Not more than that.
Anyone nak bagi idea lagi? Saya seronok mengajar master ni tapi itulah rindu mengajar face to face.
Tapi kalau orang lain kongsi, nak tanya, kalau ikutkan slide doktor yang 21 tu, saya terlepas tadi, adequate system support part of the fundamental requirements. Adequate system support ni, is it talking about electronic system ke ataupun administrative system ke macam mana?
Can be both.
I see, okay, understood. Sebab kalau macam accounting kan dia ada sistem dia kan. And most of the time accountant akan dia akan blame sistem dia lah, sistem disuruh lah, sistem kerja ni lah, kan. So kita dapat payment, macam tu lah.
Itu biasalah tu. Okay, anyone nak share lagi idea, knowledge apa? I really miss ajar face to face lah. Tak puas saja ni.
Doktor.
Ya.
Tadi doktor cakap bajet ni kan selalu buat setahun sekali, dan macam mana nak relate dengan masa bidding tu?
Masa bidding tu?
Kan masa nak buat bid tu kan kita macam kena prepare cost kita untuk the whole project, let's say 5 tahun.
Okay. As I said just now, normal practice is setahun sekali lah. But if your project duration is 2 or 3 years, you kena depends on that duration lah.
Overall terus lah, tak boleh
overall terus lah. Okay.
Sarah, I think you need to understand juga masa bidding, they come up with some budgeting ataupun costing. Either from dia ambil betul-betul costing, dia buat taking off, dia dapat costing daripada subcon, okay, ataupun dia ada data. Kalau macam development lah, dia ada data dah, okay, for meter square berapa harga dia, okay, what kind of development. So dia dah ada that kind of data, so dia dah boleh plug one figure, estimate dulu for the whole project tu. Lepas tu dah dapat job tu, okay, dah dapat job tu nanti dia akan award subcontractors, mungkin kalau dia dah ambil dia award consultant, so dia kena work out pula budget for untuk execution, for the operational. Kat macam tu
masa dia nak buat bidding tu, dia macam high level punya budget dulu kan?
bukan kata high level dah. Kalau tinggi kan tak dapat job. So, dia must be some basis lah. Dia tender tu must be some basis lah. Apa harga dia supaya dia boleh win the job. Once dia win the job, kalau
Baru
contractor
dia come
lah.
out budget di situ.
We need to optimize our profit. So kat situ lah kita keluarkan satu bagi operation budget. So kalau dulu kita tender RM1, so kita cakap okay, kerja ni kita kena siapkan 8% je. 20% tu is profit. So benda yang 8% tu pula yang kena review pula, monthly basis ke, yearly basis ke. Dia tahu kan where are we now, kita dah pakai tak 8% ataupun sebenarnya 5% je. Macam tu lah.
Okay.
So there's a difference lah between tender dengan execution.
Yes.
Thank you. Tak sama.
Okay, anyone else?
Doktor kan nak tanya soalan pasal assignment boleh tak Doktor?
Oh, assignment boleh.
Okay, sekarang saya nak tanya part case study. Ini profile company atau projek yang kita pilih as a information yang kita ambil untuk letak dalam kita punya maklumat. Do we need the verification for that info or not? Maknanya siapa yang kena verify maklumat ni betul ke tak, atau dia perlukan atau tak? Atau just simply ambil yang bubuh dalam kita
Boleh
punya
dia we can create je.
Jangan dah lah tu dah
Direct sangat tu create.
We're talking about the data, then the concept is the same kan. Kalau macam company punya budget tak boleh tipu. Okay, just how they do lah. Tapi the data lah kan. The data inside dalam report tu is something we just create that data lah instead of the validated data.
Of course, if you want to get the validated data, it's quite difficult lah, especially when we talk about budgeting lah. As I think masa briefing project tu saya cakap it's not essential for you to get the numbers. What I want to know is the techniques they use, bukan numbers berapa juta dia dapat budget dari situ. Saya nak tengok apa approach. Contoh company A ni dia pakai top down. Dia pakai incremental ke zero base ke. Tu je, saya tak nak tengok numbers tu, saya tak nak. Saya tak nak benda-benda yang of course some of them is confidential lah.
Betul.
So saya nak lebih kepada theoretical part of that company punya how they prepare budget lah. If tak ada, you can propose. Maybe ada company yang diorang tak tahu pun pasal top down bottom up ni. Dia boleh, maybe dia share kat you, okay, prepare budget macam ni, kita bagi semua department A, B, C, D, dia prepare your budget semua bagi kat top management. Itu dah nama bottom up. Maybe dia tak tahu nama term tu. So from there lah you need to create lah dalam punya report.
Which is maksud means doktor, teknik yang kita pilih tak semestinya kena ada semua dalam syllabus lah. Which is kalau apa yang dia apply, then you just present that teknik je lah kan.
Yes.
Letak 4-4 sekaligus.
Yes, maybe ada company yang guna semua 4-4 teknik tu letak je lah. Maybe ada company yang guna different techniques. Boleh, tak ada masalah.
Okay.
So report ni doktor, you're expecting to do in writing form words macam tu lah. It's not like before kita pakai words ke apa ke tu.
Macam mana?
Kita punya report ni, you're expecting us to do writing report pakai words sajalah.
Yes, pakai Word then PDF kan dia. And at the same time you need to prepare interactive punya presentation. I think I mention masa project briefing tu lah. Interactive presentation tu is up to you lah, nak guna PowerPoint saja ke, kalau someone kreatif nak guna short video 5 minit, 3 minutes ke, up to you. Saya tak bagi restriction on that as long as it's very interactive punya presentation, sebab you cannot present. Boleh present tapi saya takut ambil masa yang lama kalau kita nak pakai Google Meet ni kan. Taking too long kan, sampai pukul 12 tak habis present, tiring lah. So I think it's enough for you to prepare the interactive slide ke, video ke, it's up to you. Use your own creativity lah untuk prepare the presentation. Okay, ada apa-apa lagi?
Nak tanya yang regarding budgetary control, kalau ni related to the assignment jugalah.
Okay.
if macam kita pilih case study the project and then due to the pandemic kita nak relate this project ni in the view of client ke, consultant ke ataupun supplier ke, kita decide or kita boleh go for all sort of the macam people lah, sebab kalau developer mungkin dia more on tak boleh lambat nak
faham. So if you choose a project, let's say tadi macam you bagi scenario the control budget sekarang because of pandemic, you can choose maybe I think one enough lah, perspective from contractors saja ke, developers punya perspective saja ke, tak perlu semua lah.
Sebab itulah kalau semua macam banyak kan, macam ada loan,
satu cukup
hire
lah.
purchase.
Satu cukup lah. Okay.
Alright. Dia punya timeline pun from project execution until finish lah, bukan sampai jual the profit dah dapat.
Sampai start to finish.
Start to finish. Okay, alright. Thank you, Dr.
Alright. Okay, ada apa-apa lagi?
Kita main game.
Alright, if there is no more questions, perhaps we can end up the class today. I will share the recorded link ni nanti later when I upload dalam YouTube nanti. Saya akan share the links later. And so next week will be our last lecture on sources of finance. Okay, as usual, I will share the links dekat YouFuture lah nanti. Alright, so that's all. Thank you for your time and commitment. See you next week. Take care. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum, terima kasih Doktor.
Bye.
Thank you, Doctor.